Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another car review. Believe it or not, for the first time ever, we have a Lincoln to review, which is a 1976 Lincoln Continental town car. Yes, a Lincoln, the arch nemesis, the biggest competitor to Cadillac, my favorite car brand. But I figured it's always good to know what else is out there. Let's go ahead and start talking about this 1976 Lincoln Continental town car. Before we start the review of this particular Lincoln, I'd like to give a brief history of this model as well as the Lincoln brand. Now, Lincoln was founded in 1917 by Henry Leland, and ironically, he was actually the same founder of the Cadillac brand, which would become Lincoln's biggest rival. But Ford eventually decided to purchase Lincoln in 1922 to be their luxury division. And what's really fascinating is that Henry Ford's son, Edsel Ford, played a momentous role in buying the Lincoln brand and also running the brand itself. And Edsel is even quoted as saying, "Father made the most popular cars in the world. I want to make the best." And arguably, Lincoln did make some of the best cars, including this Continental. And being a 1976 Continental town car, what exactly does that represent? The Continental name is the name of the model, whereas Town Car designates the highest end trim level. However, Continental was renamed Town Car for the 7th generation Town Car in 1981, but at this time it was still known as the Continental Town Car. So, what sort of history did the Continental name have? When the Continentals were first built in the 1940s, it was meant to be a personal luxury car. This put an emphasis on personality, impeccable comfort, and a little hint of sportiness. The Continental name and image did evolve over the years, sometimes a bit confusingly. It first became Ford's flagship brand with the Continental Mark II in the mid-1950s. We've actually seen a few of these cars on the channel before, and they would have competed with the Cadillac Eldorado Brougham from the mid-1950s as well. Both of those were some of the most expensive American cars ever to be built. But the Continental name eventually developed into the Mark series from the 1960s through the 1980s. There were also Continental branded coupes and sedans in the 1970s to smaller, more economical sedans from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, which competed mostly with the Cadillac Seville. And finally, the Continental name went out with a bang in 2016 when they introduced a full-size luxury sedan. This was discontinued in 2020 with no planned successor. However, even with all of these models, luxurious features, and good looks, Lincoln always seemed to be in the shadow of its biggest competitor, Cadillac. And seemingly, looking at the production numbers for 1976 reflects this. Lincoln only sold about 125,000 cars compared to Cadillac's 309,000. However, I do believe that the town car may have outsold the biggest rival it had, the Cadillac Fleetwood, but I do think there is more to a car brand and its cars than just the production numbers. So, without further ado, let's start the review and see what this Continental town car has to offer. Let's start off the review by taking a look at the front end of the Lincoln Continental town car. And the most important thing up here would be the Lincoln badge. It is right up here on top of the grille, just in front of the hood. It of course moves and is spring loaded to protect for pedestrians or so it doesn't break off as easily. There is also a large grille at the front of the Continental. It has a vertical design and looks pretty clean and elegant. I also do like the big chrome bumper up front. It is one of those 5-mile-per-hour bumpers, so it's absolutely massive. And one of my favorite things up here is that it has pop-up headlights. What's really cool is when you engage the headlights and turn them on, they flip over and reveal themselves. It's apparently all controlled by vacuums, a pretty cool thing, and also helps to clean up the front end design to make it look a bit more elegant. And Lincoln decided to put the Lincoln Continental badge on the left headlight, and what I think is the most beautiful thing up front is the glass housings for the turn signals. Firstly, they do kind of come to a point, kind of like a fin at the front of the car, which is a very unique design detail, but I just love the way the glass looks with the chrome insert around the glass itself. Moving along to the side of the Continental town car, we can see this car's massive length from here. It is about 232.9 inches long, quite massive, but this was a full-size sedan for the time. And on the front end of the Continental, in true American luxury car fashion, we do have our cornering light here. Now what's interesting is that this cornering light turns on even in the daytime when your headlights are not on. I believe that Cadillacs at the time, their cornering lights would only turn on when the headlights were on at the same time. So it's interesting that Lincoln decided to have them on at all times. And taking a look at the wheels, there is a pretty nice large wheel cover there. Fairly simple looking, but it still does look luxurious. And what's kind of funny is that the valve stem caps have a little teeny tiny Lincoln logo on them. I'm sure no one would ever really notice this, but Lincoln did decide to put those there. And also on the front fender is the Town Car badge, designating that this is the highest end trim level of the Continental. And running along the tire length of this vehicle are several different things. There is a green pinstripe that runs all the way from the front fender all the way to the back. There's also a really cool chrome line that extends from the front of the car all the way across the top of the doors, all the way to the back end of the car, and that kind of helps to create the fin look at the front of the vehicle as well as in the back. And this chrome line also creates a little bit of space in between the edge of the door and the window. It's a pretty fascinating look. It almost looks like a divot in between there, but it's something that Continentals have had since the early 60s, and it's kind of neat that Lincoln decided to continue this design trend into their newer models. And there's also this really fancy looking green trim that runs along the side of the car. If you look closely at it, it has a really interesting design pattern on it. I believe this may have been the premium side moldings that Lincoln offered at the time, but I don't know that for sure, but it does look nice. There are also keyholes for both of the front two doors, as well as wheel skirts covering the rear wheels. And what I think is really nice looking on this particular Continental is this coach roof in the back. This is what Lincoln called it. It's essentially a landau top where half of the roof is covered in vinyl. There's also nice chrome up there, and it did come with a coach light which lights up at nighttime. But something that is missing from the coach roof are the opera windows. Many Lincolns at this time offered opera windows, which were little oval-shaped windows in the back of the car. I believe this was an option, and this particular Continental was not optioned with it. Now moving along to the back end of the Lincoln Continental Town Car. Possibly my favorite design feature of the back end is the rear tail lights. It goes from all the way on the left side of the car all the way across the trunk to the right side. There are little teeny tiny Lincoln logos throughout the middle of the tail lights, a very cool look. And what's really neat is that Lincoln has continued this light bar design trend with their more modern cars. Also back here is a big chrome bumper, just like the front. It is a 5-mile-per-hour bumper, which was federally mandated at the time. There is also dual exhaust down here. However, I don't know if that is stock. Some of you Lincoln enthusiasts may have to inform me on that. And on the trunk itself, on the right side is the Lincoln script, and there's also a Lincoln badge in the middle of the trunk. It's also red. I think that must be a reflector as well, which I find fascinating. But what's really cool is that the Lincoln badge hides the keyhole to get into the trunk. And once you're ready to get inside of the trunk, all you have to do is put the key into the keyhole itself, twist, and the trunk opens like so. And inside of here, we have 20.2 cubic feet of space. Definitely a lot of room. But what Lincoln did that was really smart is they actually put the spare tire in a very convenient place. As you can see, it is actually placed in the back of the trunk, hidden away in a cubbyhole. Many of the Cadillacs I've reviewed from this era do have spare tires, but they put it in the bottom of the trunk, which sometimes gets in the way.